And with that, I now recognize Mrs. Boebert to introduce our next witness, Mr. Muller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is my honor to introduce Andy Muller, General Manager of the Colorado River Water Conservation District. Prior to taking the helm at the Colorado River District, he spent 23 years in private law practice on the west slope of Colorado. His work ranged across the breadth of critical Western Colorado topics: water, natural resources, land use, and community issues. For 9 years, from 2006 to 2015, he was Ouray County's director on the Colorado River District Board. His last two as board president. Andy is a wealth of knowledge on water and forestry issues, and I couldn't be more thrilled that he made the trip to be here with us today in Washington, D.C. And with that, Andy, you have 5 minutes, and you may begin your testimony. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Boebert. Thank you, Chairman Benz, Ranking Member Huffman, and the other members of the subcommittee. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here today with you. On Colorado's western slope, water is everything. Our rivers form the backbone of our rural economy that depend on multi-generational farms and ranches, thriving recreational industries, and the environmental beauty for which our state is so renowned. For 85 years, the Colorado River District has worked to protect the water interests of the communities of western Colorado. Melting snowpack, occasional rain, and the associated runoff from the Colorado's western slope provides 70% of the main stem of the Colorado River entire natural flow. This water supports over 40 million people, 5 million acres of irrigated agricultural land, 2 countries, 30 sovereign tribal nations, 7 states, and 11 national parks. Hotter than average temperatures over the last 23 years have diminished the flows of the Colorado River by 20%. And sound science tells us that we should plan for further significant reductions. We need to create both long-term and short-term solutions. In the long term, one of the largest variables over which we have any control at all is the health of our forests and their ability to collect, filter, and convey water. In the short term, accessible and easily adaptable storage solutions mean that our communities, our agriculture, and our rivers can continue to thrive year to year. First, I'll address the long term. Snow is the primary form of Colorado River water storage, and our forests are by far the largest reservoirs in the Colorado River Basin. High elevation forests, those over 9,000 feet in elevation, play an especially critical role in capturing, preserving, and filtering the water that is essential for the health and economic well-being of not only the western slope, but the entire Colorado River Basin. Our forest lands help sustain river-based flows in the summer when crops, boaters, and fish need water. As far back as the Organic Act of 1897, Congress expressly recognized the importance of watershed protection in the national forests. Just over 65% of all forest land in Colorado is federally owned, and right now, current efforts to manage Colorado's forests are not keeping pace with the realities of a changing climate and hydrology. Since 2000, the headwaters of our communities in the Colorado River have experienced back-to-back hot, dry, windy springs and early summers. Heating results in dry soils and catastrophic wildfires in the heart of our most important watersheds. In 2020, for example, Colorado experienced the 3 largest wildfires in the state's recorded history, all 3 in the same season and all 3 in the headwaters of the Colorado River. Studies indicate that fires will only get bigger and more severe. Without natural filtration of a healthy forest after a severe wildfire, sediment, ash, and other nutrients and chemicals flush directly into the rivers, requiring expensive infrastructure upgrades to the drinking water sources for 80% of our state's population. We applaud the large-scale investments dedicated to forest health and the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act. However, these investments currently prioritize forested lands in the wildland-urban interface. Because the dollar value of man-made infrastructure is weighted so heavily in these decisions, the important headwaters of the Colorado River and the natural infrastructure and high elevation forests are not receiving adequate funds to address the compounding threats they face. Preliminary conversations have begun to reallocate funding with this in mind, but we cannot underscore the urgency for fully supporting these efforts expeditiously. Now let's talk about dealing with the short term and the benefits and need for high elevation small reservoirs. On the western slope of the Rockies, we don't live below major reservoirs like Lake Mead and Lake Powell. which provide multi-year carryover storage for Colorado's lower basin states. As mentioned in this earlier, the snowpack of our high elevation forest is our largest reservoir. And once the snow is gone, and our largest storage bucket is too. By applying best practices developed over decades and informed science, we can use these small buckets, anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 acre feet, in strategic high mountain locations to retime the releases of water to mitigate the impacts of a warming climate. And to do so, we can benefit both consumptive needs and non-consumptive needs. We have numerous examples of this in our state, but unfortunately, many of our stream systems are without high reservoirs in the high mountain states in locations, which and do not allow us to achieve success in these areas. I encourage you to direct additional federal resources, bolster new and existing storage opportunities. But as important, if not more, funding is the regulatory approvals that must be streamlined, and our federal programs need to work efficiently and effectively. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. I thank all the witnesses for their testimony. I will now recognize members for 5 minutes for questions, and we will begin with Congresswoman Radewagen.